Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Today, I have my systems soul sister, Natasha, who has built her entire business around creating systems for entrepreneurs. Her business is even called Systems Rock. How cool is that? So Natasha and I were actually in the same mastermind, and she offered me a free systems audit. So she actually offered it to all of the women in the group, but I was like, one of the first people to raise my hands and say, yes, 100%. We got on a call. I peeled back the curtain, showed her everything that goes on in my business. She gave me some awesome tips on how we can run the podcast more efficiently, how I can work with my team more efficiently. So I was super excited about those small tweaks because that is what really saves you so much time and so much money in your business. Now, I'm wondering if you guys are seeing a pattern here with the guests on my podcast. So many of these accomplished, high-level women I'm meeting, becoming friends with, and building deep relationships with is through the high-level coaching and masterminds that I invest in for myself. Now, this year alone, I've invested close to $40,000. And the amazing thing is that I always get a return on my investment in about 3 months' time, which is amazing. So I'm not going to lie, it's super scary to invest in yourself at that level. I remember the first time I told my husband that I wanted to spend the same amount of money on on my high level coaching as could be like a brand new car. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm even doing this. But it's something that now that I've done it, I believe in to the core of who I am. And you know the Jim Rohn quote that says, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? It is so true. So if you're always around people who are struggling financially due to their own limiting beliefs or have a negative mindset, it's going to drag you down. Now, don't misinterpret that to mean that you can't be friends with or love those who struggle financially or have a negative mindset. I have family members and friends that I love dearly that genuinely struggle with money and mindset. That doesn't mean that I don't love them. Doesn't mean that I can't have a great laugh with them. What it does mean is that those are not the people that I choose to share my big, audacious goals with. Those are not the ones you're going to go to if you're looking to build $1 million business. They're going to be so blocked that just isn't a reality. So if you are at a 6-figure level or higher in your business right now and you're looking to go to the next level, I want to invite you guys to apply for our Growth Factor high-level coaching and mastermind. So we've got very limited spots. I'm super excited to see what the women who have already joined are going to accomplish in the year. It's a phenomenal program, so be sure to apply if that sounds good to you. And when you apply, we get your application, we set up a call. You and I talk and clarify everything, answer any questions. And if both of us feel that you would be a good fit for the program, then we go ahead and offer an invitation. So anyway, right now it's time to get back to the topic of the day, systems, with my friend Natasha of Systems Rock. I hope you enjoy this interview. And as always, if you have any questions or want to keep this conversation going, just head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. All right, Natasha, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you for having me.
So I knew that we were soul sisters when I found out that you are the founder of Systems Rock. So that is like right up my alley. I am talking about systems and processes until I feel like I'm blue in the teeth. And this is like your major zone of genius. And you've built an entire business helping entrepreneurs create systems. So
Exactly.
what is it that I'm curious, I know why I love systems. What is it about systems that you love so much?
I guess the biggest thing is that systems give me and my clients peace of mind. Uh, because at the end of the day, we love, and especially that's true for us entrepreneurs, we love being in control. We love knowing that things that we deal with on a daily basis, that we know what is where, how we can get the best result out of our efforts, that we don't really do busy work, but we do something once and then it happens. When we train somebody, we train them once, and then our assistant can do what they're supposed to do very well, or at least they know where to go to get the resources to answer their questions. So to me, systems is about efficiency, peace of mind, and getting back control of what's happening. Because there are so many things that are out of our control as these business owners. So it's good for me to know that there are areas that I know how something will happen and how does that end product look like. Not just when I do it, but when my team does it as well.
Yeah, I remember. So when I was working as a spa director, I always felt like I was running around like crazy, but never getting anything done. And there was just this pile of stuff on my desk that I was like, it's never ending. What am I even doing? And it gave me like I loved I don't want to say poor job satisfaction, because I really enjoy what I was doing. I was learning a lot, but I was really young. This is probably like 10 or 12 years ago, so I'm just trying to figure all of this out. And I didn't have formal business training, and so for me, like, I feel I'm an organized person. I'm a J on the Myers-Briggs. Yeah. Like, it's natural for me to have that structure. And, I've grown to love spreadsheets, but it was out of figuring out like, okay, I constantly have all of this. I need some sort of, for me, it was a checklist. Like, it started with like creating a checklist and then having a like, okay, I'm going to do this checklist every single day. And I'm going to focus on my priorities, which was in itself creating a system before we had all these amazing tools that we have today. But I remember like once I did that and I could actually see what I accomplished, like that was a huge thing for me to feel like, wow, I actually did this, this, and this today and moved the needle forward, instead of just feeling like, what am I even doing? Like I'm not getting anything done. That for me really helps me as a manager. And then even as an esthetician, when I'm practicing as an esthetician, like there's so many little like refilling the cabinets, or what's the step in this protocol of doing this treatment, or did I follow up with my patient, or did I send them a thank you card? All of these kind of things. If I don't have it written down, it is like, it's out of my mind, because there's just so much stuff that we're thinking about. I think one of my friends who's like super into the brain said we think like over 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are subconscious. I'm like, how are you supposed to remember all that stuff if you don't write it down,
Exactly.
So,
and the thing is, it's every single like open loop that we have. So we meant to do something and like we left it undone, or like we made a mental note of something but moved to a different task. We know that something needs to happen, but then we don't really have time to finish it right away. All these open loops, they suck so much energy out of us, because our brain tries to keep that information in our head in order to be able to come back and close the loop, because this is what we are wired to do. We are wired to close all the loops. But when there are way too many of them, it gets exhausting. And that's why it's literally unhealthy to be organized.
Well, yeah, because if your mind is always processing, you don't have the space to come up with those new ideas,
Absolutely.
and come up with, unique ways to solve a problem or to reach out to a client. I noticed that for me, as my business has grown, there's been different stages of systems and what we're doing and like how I'm holding myself accountable. And now that I have like the most awesome team ever, it's like they're handling so much stuff. And I just know that it's working because we have our systems in place. But because of that, now I'm able to really be clear and truly be the visionary in my business, which as a spa owner or even a solo esthetician, you're still a spa owner. You've got to be the captain of your ship, and you've got to think about the direction that you want to take your business. It's not a job. You're not just creating a new job for yourself. You really have to be the business owner. So I talk about retail all the time. That's really one of the things that I'm known for in the spa world, because I believe that retail is such an important piece. It's the glue that holds everything together. Mm-hmm. There's so many stats that say that you'll increase your client retention if they purchase retail. They'll have better results because they're using a customized regimen from a trained professional. So there's lots of reasons that I love retail. But one of the most challenging things is creating an inventory system, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're dealing with cash flow. You're trying to figure out what your PARs are. You're trying to figure out, like, should I be, what are the products that are aligned with the services that I'm doing? So what do you think the biggest pain points are for people that are not using systems? Since you work with people who are wanting systems, when they come to you, what is their biggest struggle? Like overwhelm or just hiring new employees and having to spend so much time? Like, what kind of things do you think are the biggest problems?
One of the biggest one I see is that a lot of business owners, they consider themselves as unorganized people. They just label themselves that. And even when somebody comes and tells them about systems, to them, it's like, this is not something that I do. Like, I'm not a systems person. Just the word system scares them. And this is something that I experienced when I was starting out, because when I first started my business, I wanted to be a marketing consultant because that's what I was when I was working in the corporate world. And when I started my business and I started this marketing business, like I was really struggling to just make things work because there was so much that needed to happen and I could not get to the bottom of my to-do list. So I started listening to the interviews of more established business owners. And one of the things that they would always recommend, like they would say, like, systems, you have to have systems, you have to have like structure systems. And I was thinking to myself, yes, like, you're a big business, you have a team, you have this suite of products. Of course you will have systems. And to me, like, systems were a bit of like a factory, kind of like the mental image that I had in my head was, it's more like, yes, it's something for a big established business when like there is this little assembly line almost like. Yeah. And at some point I heard Laura Roeder refer to systems as a checklist, as like something that can start very simple, just like you, Daniela, mentioned earlier. And like, this is like, I wanted to come back to this because it's so important. You mentioned that there are several layers, and it's absolutely true. And this is how we can warm up to systems. Start with something very simple. Start with a checklist. Start with just like little step by step of how something needs to be done. And that's over time can grow into something more complex. But at the same time, the business owner who is starting to use that will slowly just like fall into the habit of using systems and creating systems in their business. And then they will not feel that overwhelmed when like somebody comes in and tells them that like, you need systems. Because it's just because we don't really take time to create simple systems in the beginning. When the business grows, then it feels like, okay, for me to create systems, like I need to put my entire operations on hold, and nobody has time for it. And that feels really, really heavy and overwhelming. But when we start slowly, even if your business is big and it feels like, oh my God, like I don't even know where to start, just starting in like one area, creating one single checklist, like one thing at a time, like it will get to the point where it will feel you will feel much more comfortable with systems, and it will not feel as scary and overwhelming. It will be so helpful as well.
And the thing is, they're never done. They're never done, because as a business owner, you grow and evolve and change. So do your systems.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
It's just an ongoing process in my business. Like we started out using just Google Drive, and it was like, all right, how do we do a blog post? How do we upload this? How do we do our social media? What days do we post? Like basic things. So for one of the things I see with especially solo estheticians, because in the spa world, there are solo estheticians, which a huge percentage of our industry is.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move into spa owners, where they'll have bringing on a team and
mm-hmm.
having other estheticians that they're managing. But even if you are a solo through and through, and that's what you want to be, you love working with yourself, you still have to have those protocol. A protocol is a system.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to use that to know how much product you're using. You've got to use that to know what your cost of treatment and profitability is. Otherwise, you're just like throwing spaghetti at the wall, because your numbers will change every single month, and your profit margin will change every single month if you're not actually measuring those things. And that's something that I really want to get across to spa owners is like, this is a business. You're doing this because you love what you do. You love your clients, you love your patients, but you also need to make money. And if you're just giving, and not tracking your cost of treatment, which is a system, not tracking your inventory, which is a system, not tracking your client follow-up system.
Yeah.
If you're not doing those types of things in your business is slowly dying, and it's something that you can just say every month, I'm going to figure out what my inventory system is. I'm going to figure out what my client follow-up system is. I'm going to figure out my social media system. Like just have it be the focus that month, and just keep track of what it is that you're doing on a daily basis, And if you do have a team, if you're lucky to have an awesome team, then have them write down everything that they're doing. Have them, film their screen. That's one of the biggest things is like, you're hiring someone for the front desk, and there's the like spa software that you're using to figure out how the software works, how you check someone in, how you check someone out, how you book an appointment, how you look up their history. Film your screen. There's your SOP.
Exactly.
It's okay. But back to retail. Yes. I really want to talk about this.
Yes.
So my thing. And I feel like there's a lot of struggle and confusion, particularly around the system, because clients want to purchase, but then they're spending too much money, right? And so cash is getting tied up on the shelves. We want to be super careful about that. But then we also want to be smart with our ordering, because when you order in bulk or order at the right times, you get more discounts, which will then increase your profit margin. So with your business owners, I know you work with a wide variety of business owners, but I'm sure you've worked with those that have products as well.
Yes.
So how do you handle, like, what are some tips for an inventory management system?
Yes. And it is a very, very good area to start, just because it tied so closely to money. Like you said, it's really, if inventory is something that we really have to look at, and create the system around it from the very beginning, because it's so easy to lose money if you order too much of something that is not very much in demand, or you order it at the not best time of the year, because this is what our inventory system allows us to see, like all these different trends and patterns. in addition to simply numbers. As for how to approach creating that system, what I always discuss with my clients first, and to our listeners, if they kind of like want to see how, or even kind of like start thinking about it, the best place to start is to come up with a list of kind of questions that you want that inventory system to answer. Kind of like, what do I need to know? Do I need to know how many items and like which type of items? How often do I need to be tracking that? Like monthly, weekly, even daily? Like maybe some products you will track differently than others. Do I need to know whether my products are seasonal or not? Do I need to track that markup? So starting with, okay, what questions do I want my system to answer is the best place to start, because then you have all these data questions that you can translate afterwards into data points that will afterwards be organized in a specific way in this either spreadsheet or something that allows you to, one, track data, but also categorize and kind of like manipulate it to actually see like all those patterns. Mm-hmm. It is super useful to use tools that allow you to play with your data so that you can organize it by month. You can organize it by item. You can organize it by season. And all of that will allow you to answer the questions that you've set in the very beginning.
Yeah. And I think that's super important with, a lot of estheticians are kind of intimidated by spreadsheets. Like you were saying, like people will say, I'm not a systems person. But the thing is, like, when the formulas are already done, then it's you simply are entering in, you're just typing in a number. You don't have to do all the crazy hard work.
Exactly.
Like you just type in the number. That's what, so Annie on my team, she's my director of operations. She was a former project manager for Procter & Gamble. She's like amazing. And she loves spreadsheets more than I do. And I love the data and the information that they give me. She's a master at putting in all of the formulas and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, Annie, here's what I want you to do. And I'm like, this is the information that I want to see and that I want to know. Exactly. And then she's like, great. So what I want estheticians to know is those resources are out there for you. Like you don't have to go and take an Excel class or a Google Drive, you don't have to do that work. What you have to do is understand what the data is telling you. Like if I put my inventory here and I see that, hey, I'm selling twice as many pumpkin cleansers, or it's fall, so I want to bring in my everyone's like super excited about pumpkin facials and pumpkin cleansers and all of this kind of stuff. But also like one of the really popular promotions that we do in Spa Retail Rockstar is called the retail reversal. And the concept is where it's like essentially you're purchase $250 in retail, get a chemical peel for free, or something that's kind of swapping the idea. So it's like $250 retail, for a $250 chemical peel, or something that's like, wow, that's a no-brainer. Like, of course I would do that. But you have to prepare for that. Like if you don't have inventory on your shelves and then you're like hardcore planning, or promoting this, then you're not going to have the same, your promotion is going to be a big fat flop, and you can't just decide, like, oh, it's October and I'm going to do retail reversal in November, but you haven't ordered any of your product yet. It requires planning and foresight and truly being proactive rather than reactive in your business.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. And yes, tracking products and knowing when to order is such a critical piece. And going back to it's so easy to lose money on it because if there is no tracking system, there is no way to tell how many of those items you still have in stock. And if certain things are reaching that point where they need to be reordered. So that system, this tracker, can actually flag for you, okay, this item needs to be reordered. And it can be like different categories. Something that is seasonal, you will know that, okay, like this is something that it's a promotion that happens in November. So I will need to place an order before you will tell me, Daniela, how what the deadline would be. But then there will be other products that you're selling ongoingly, so that system can simply kind of just like flag for you, okay, we're like so many units left, so it's critical to order them, so that as you are selling them, you don't find yourself in a situation where you sold it and
we call those pars. So whatever the par is, the number of, so if you sell on average 6 cleansers a month of this one particular type of cleanser, then your par would be, I would make it 9, so that your minimum is that you always have 3 on hand just in case. And a lot of the spa softwares, if you set pars in the spa software, or if you whatever your inventory tracking system is, it'll alert you when you hit your par and say, hey, it's time to order. And what that extra little cushion does is make sure that you're not ordering, 15 cleansers and then having all that money tied up on the shelves that you could be using for promotion, that you could be using for whatever. And there's a lot of product lines too. I mean, our products, they are effective for 2 years from manufacture date. So you don't want to let products sit on the shelf for a really long time. You want them fresh. I mean, that's one of the reasons that we argue against purchasing products online, because a lot of the products that go up there on Amazon or in different places, they're from old spas that have had products on their shelves for 2 or 3 years. They need to get rid of them. So they create some kind of fake account and throw that up there. So a lot of what you're buying, like I had a patient when I was working in Boston, bring in a bottle of CE Ferulic, which is this amazing serum by SkinCeuticals. And she opened it up and she's like, it's orange. It's like dark orange. It had completely oxidized, because when she originally bought it from us, it's almost like a clear color. And that's not always the case, right? You can buy some good products online, but there's lots of counterfeit. There's lots of expired products. A lot of the brands will do buybacks. So the skincare company will come in and say, oh, we want you to bring in our brand. We'll buy back all of this inventory. And then, then you can have the cash to put our product there. Well, those products end up on the internet, so it's old expired product. So it's one of the things that we have to be, educate our clients, but then also not get in a situation that's a ton of lost money for those spas that didn't have an inventory tracking system, that didn't know what their winners were, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to spend my money on marketing. I'm going to spend my money on ads or having an event or whatever it is, and then make sure that my products don't go bad, which is super important part of being a business owner.
Yeah, for sure. Because it is your reputation. This is how you will have these amazing customers who come to you every single time when they need something, because they know the dangers of going online, but also because you offer this amazing service and everything is always available, everything is always top notch. So yeah, absolutely. Like everything is interrelated.
Okay. So give me 1 or 2 tips for an esthetician who says, I'm not a systems person. How do they get started? Like what's an action item they can do today to start building systems in their business?
The first place where I would suggest them to look at would be, what are the types of problems that I am like solving over and over and over again? because in every business there is something that we do something, and it takes us time to either remember or figure it out, and like we finally did it, like even like how to upload a blog post, or like how to like, do something, and then like we did it and we move on to something else, but then 1 week later, 1 month later, we have to do it all over again, and like we spend time again figuring out how it needs to be done, what are the steps, maybe taking a few steps and then going back and redoing it because it was not done properly, and like we remember the mistake that we did last time, and now we are back doing that mistake, making that mistake again. So I would invite everybody who is listening to us, because this is it, it's always useful to look at what are some things that I keep, like problems or kind of things that I keep solving in my business, that if I just took extra 5 minutes to solve it once but never come back to it again, what are those things? And then set aside those like 10-15 minutes to actually do it. So that can be, okay, if it's a blog post, like let me write down all the steps, or let me simply record my screen, just like you said, Daniela. That's such a fantastic way to create standing operating procedures, because all you do, you do what you do anyway, but you are simply narrating the steps of how you are doing it. So imagine that you are teaching this to somebody, and like as you click here, click there, like open this document, grab this piece of copy from here and paste it there, simply narrate it as you do it, and that's your SOP, and that can be a video that you come back to in a week when you are doing it again and do it again. So I would first go to something that keeps popping up, something that we keep spending time on, and finding a way to structure it better so that it doesn't resurface again.
And I'm just going to add on to that, because I talk a lot about hiring VAs in your business. Even if you're a solo esthetician, like if you have social media, if you have a blog post, if you want a VA to go in to your booking system and look at your numbers of what you sold and fill in the spreadsheet for you, like you can do all of that kind of stuff, because you need to look at like, what is your time worth? And if you can get rid of the administrative stuff, or maybe you're still writing the blog post, but you're having someone else do the tech part where they're uploading it and sharing it on social media or emailing it out to your list or whatever it is that they're doing, that frees up time for you to actually do a facial or call a client or whatever it is that you need to be doing as the, top 5% of revenue generating activities in your business. That will help you move the business. And you can do that when you have systems, because you can just show like, here's how you do it, follow this step by step, and then it's out of your hands. So there's so many benefits to systems. I swear, you guys, you're going to all love spreadsheets by the time I'm done with you. They will make your life so much easier, I promise.
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. So thank you so much for your time. Let our audience know where they can find you, follow you, keep in touch with you.
Sure. The best place to go is my website, systemsrock.com. And if you go to the resources section, there are 2 pages with kind of outlines of different systems. So you can just take a look and see what system that you are trying to establish right now for your business, whether it's writing a blog post or following up with your clients or potential clients. You will have really, really great ideas from those blog posts, or it can be either Facebook or LinkedIn. You can find it there as well.
Perfect. Well, we'll include everything below this post so that you guys can follow up. Thank you so much for your time. This is super valuable information. And if you guys want to keep the conversation going, be sure to head over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. We can talk about systems and spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff all day long. All right. I'll catch you on the next episode.